I'm in the bookstore, and I'm sure it won't take you much to figure out which one it is. It's a pretty distinctive brand. In any case, even when I was working on my MBA, this was definitely one of my favorite places to hang out. For today, it's really where I wanted to talk a little bit about exploring our curiosity. So one of the things that people ask a lot is about their business plan or how did they get started. And really one of the things I talk about is, instead of the typical advice of following your passion, I talk about following your curiosity and really discovering what it is that you're curious about. So when I talk about following your curiosity, it could be something just fleeting, something that you're interested in, and something that, it comes and goes. But the other things, you might find that there's something more to it, and you decide to look more into it and learn more about it. Especially in this day and age of DIY, it's pretty much free game as to what it is that catches your interest and things that you decide that you want to pursue and learn more about. Rita Mae Brown talked about that good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. And that's really part of the process, is that you learn more by making what people call mistakes than you do ever when things work out just as you planned. Because even like with the business plan, I love what Steve Blank talks about at the Lean Startup, that no business plan ever survives first contact with the customer. Because you can plan all you want, but then in the end, things happen. I find another great metaphor for business and the startup method is cooking, because you start off with recipes that work, they're tried and true, but sometimes the best things come from the accidents, the things that you've accidentally discovered that also work. And then for that matter, some of the best chefs are the ones that really come up with their own signature, whether you call it flavor or flair. They add something to it that really comes from their own personality, their own voice, their own experiences. I don't know the story of the Sriracha rooster sauce.
David Tran was a gentleman from Vietnam. He came over on this boat, the Huey Fong, which became Hai Fong, the name of his company. And even back in his homeland, he would just make these bottles of hot sauce in little baby jars that he would sell. And when he came over, what happened was he then started to sell them out of buckets to Asian restaurants in Los Angeles, all the way up to San Francisco. And he kept refining the recipe. He kept basically tinkering with it until he had his own unique flavor, his own kind of signature to it and stuff. And it really caught on. And now, it's what's known as Sriracha, that's kind of basically gained its own kind of following and stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, really, I highly recommend this movie. Thanks to Griffin Hammond, who is allowing me to use some footage from the movie and stuff. So this is some footage from the movie. So I really recommend you check out the story of Sriracha. It's a great little movie and stuff. I'll be sure to connect the link as well. Now, I can't guarantee that you'll make a multi-million-dollar company, but the world just might be waiting for what you're curious about.